Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and TrentoVision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
So, how you doing, my friend? Your neighbors are throwing stones at your house? Oh. Well, let me tell you, you and me, we're like this. You and me, we're solid. You got it? We're solid. Don't ever forget that. They're what? They're throwing fireworks at your house? All right, well, don't ever forget, you and me, solid. You and me, we're solid. Huh? The rockets. Ooh, what kind of rockets? Oof. But don't ever forget, you and me, we're like this. We're solid. You got that? Your neighbors are doing what? They're blowing themselves up in your backyard? They're blowing themselves up in your... All right, well, I don't want you ever to forget. You and me, we're together. We're solid. You got that? Your neighbors are killing your family members? All right. Listen, don't ever forget. Couldn't be stronger, you and me. Solid together. They what? Your neighbors declared war on you? What do you mean? What do you mean your neighbors declared war on you? And they're killing more people? Well, I don't want you ever... Listen, you can take this to the bank. You and me, we're so tight it isn't funny. We are together. You got that? Listen, I got to get going. Tea time in about an hour. But I want you to remember. I want you always to remember, no matter what happens, I got your back, okay? I got your back. Hey, Valerie, call the Jews in Florida. Thank them for voting for me, will you? See if you can get some more money from them, too, all right? Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show today. This is Tom Trento, your host, and we're so thankful that on today, November 15th, 2012, as Israel is under attack and the Hamas has declared an all-out war, we're so thankful that our president has Israel's back. They're solid, tight as could be. Just gives us and the kids who have the 15 seconds of warning, it gives those kids tremendous confidence, knowing that as the president tours New Jersey and New York, as the president makes sure he gets in those final golf games before winter closes in on Washington, D.C., it just gives everyone so much confidence that President Obama has the back of Israel. Because that press conference he held yesterday, where he gave a stern warning to the Hamas, to the Muslim Brotherhood, to Hezbollah, to keep their hands off Israel, where the president said, you mess with Israel, you mess with the United States. That press conference was a press conference that did not happen. The press conference that did happen showed indicated where the president told Lindsey Graham and Senator John McCain to keep their hands off of his ambassador to the United Nations, Susan Rice, the probable next nominee for the Secretary of State. It's so good knowing that our Jewish friends here in South Florida and around the United States of America voted for a president that is so tight with Israel and has Israel's back that not a sliver of daylight is between Netanyahu, Israel, Americans, the United States Congress. And we've spoken so loudly and clearly as a country, standing united with Israel. It's so good that that's the situation today, as little children are running into bomb shelters all throughout Israel. I don't know, Mark and CJ, if you know, but for the first time in 21 years, 30,000 reservists have been called up in Israel, possibly for an invasion into Gaza. And the Egyptian government has recalled the ambassador to Israel out of Israel and warned Israel to leave the Hamas alone. Did you know that, guys?
How long has it been since the election?
What election? Was there an election recently?
I mean, I actually thought it wouldn't happen until at least a month or two from now. But at what point do we say we told you so?
I don't know. What do you think? Miss CJ, what are your thoughts?
I don't know why Israel waited so long to fight back in the first place.
Maybe
because
you didn't believe them when they
the
said
whole fall, the whole time we were campaigning here, rockets and missiles were raining down on Israel. And Israel probably was told, don't rock the boat, don't make
screw
a
up my
peep,
election.
don't ruin my re-election,
Right.
or, we're going to get in your way with Iran. So you better be quiet, don't fight back, keep a lid on it. And now the election is over.
The election is over, and the Arab Spring, the demonic genie, the Sharia-compliant jihadi genie, the jihadi genie has been unleashed, and Israel is at war. Well, for our listeners and viewers, welcome
I mean, just imagine this. Over 1 million Israelis are under threat of rockets from Gaza. Just from Gaza.
comparatively speaking, that's 1/6.
1/6, 1/7 of the
About 1/7.
population.
So three.
Yeah.
That's about all of the state of Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina.
It's the Southeast
all of it.
United
Yeah,
States.
the Southeast United States is
I mean, just try to picture that.
we had that in 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis, but the missiles weren't flying. But let me get the show going, and
Please do.
we'll try to put these pieces
You know,
together.
that was about like, hey Tom, Cuba's just launched
Right.
rockets at Miami. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Or they've been launching these little rockets. They're only about,
Yeah.
Mark and I and Mike saw them.
Oh, they're only landing in the water. Don't worry about it.
They're only about 10 feet
No, they're
tall.
only landing in Key West. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it.
They're about 10 feet tall, maybe 10, 12 inches in diameter. And they only blow up, an area the size of maybe 2 or 3 cars together, or just one house, something like that.
and
It's
they're
not
loaded
destructive.
with
nails and
nails,
screws and all that stuff.
washers, nuts, bolts. Yeah, really, really good stuff. That just that you would use to want to take out legs and arms and eyes and stuff like that.
Well, here's what we're going to do today on TrentoVision.tv, and that's the video side of your educational and activism experience with us for the next 3 hours, 3 to 6 o'clock. We're here every day. You can watch all of this happening, and we're going to be Skyping in experts over the next 3 hours. You can listen and watch them. And if you're driving in your automobile, you're listening on the AM band 1470, the right-hand side of your radio. And if you don't have a computer or a radio, you have a smartphone, you can listen to us on iHeartRadio. You go to South Florida. It's got sort of a little search button there. Put in WNN. You'll get crystal clear digital audio. You can listen to the show. Because as you know, we've been, since the election, we did a little kind of a review of the election and what took place. But our area of specialty, and this is National Security Radio, is these issues of the jihad attack against the West, against Israel, against the United States. And we're going to put all these pieces together. We have a report, live report in 5 minutes, coming from the battlefield. Our good friend Mark Kohlberg. Mark Kohlberg is a former Israeli Defense Force soldier, retired from the IDF, and joined the National Police, which is similar in a sense to the FBI in the United, well, not quite, but a state police, sort of as a state police are in each state. Israel has a national police that function in any area. They have jurisdiction throughout the country in any province. And Mark was a national policeman specializing in counterterrorism, specializing even more in homicide bombings. And then he retired from that. He was also at Gush Katif in 2005 when Israel decided that peace really could be exchanged for land. So they literally dragged Jews out of Jewish land that was in the Gaza Strip, bulldozed their homes down. They did not bulldoze the synagogues that were in the Gaza Strip. The Jewish leadership in Israel had it in them to drag Jews out, dragging them out, people that did not want to leave. But the country made a decision that the Hamas and the Arabs and the Palestinians would exchange land for peace. So they gave them land, and what did they get in return?
A piece of Hamas's mind with lots of rockets attached to it.
About 15,000 since 2005.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the pieces together today, tomorrow, where we want to have a call for unity with Israel, because the Islamic world has sent out a call for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Friday they have their wonderful religious experience. It's called Juma prayer, afternoon prayer. The prayer after the sun is at its highest level, and they have a wonderful behavioral pattern after Juma prayer. They go out and kill people. So the little churches I go to, we've missed that in the religious instruction manuals. Go to church and then go kill people. We missed that one.
Yeah.
But tomorrow after Juma prayer, worldwide, it's called a Muslim Day of Rage against Israel. So you're going to see some fun things happening, and I'm sure our USG will be well prepared for that in every venue where we have embassies or consulates. But today we're bringing on Mark Kohlberg, an expert on counterterrorism and Israeli defense and the jihad. It may be a tough phone call because he's in the field, he's in the south, tracking the missiles. He'll be on in just a couple of minutes, so call your friends for a live report from the field in Israel with Mark Kohlberg. We're using my phone, your phone. What are we doing, Mark?
We're going to call Skype.
All right, if it doesn't work, call him on this.
I'm going to try it right now.
All right, you can cue him up, and if that doesn't work, let me find him here. We should have had this already. Okay. And then at 3:30, we're bringing Ryan Mauro on, a national security investigative reporter, and he just broke a story about the great governor of New Jersey, my home state, Chris Christie, and being completely mobbed up, not with La Cosa Nostra, not at all. He's mobbed up with the Ikhwan Muslim. He went from one brotherhood to another brotherhood. He's in bed with serious leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood. He hid the names from the public. Ryan Mauro did an investigation, discovered the names. We're gonna get a report from Ryan starting at 3:30, And then Ryan also wrote a story about the Muslim Brotherhood's advances in support of the Hamas against Israel. So we're gonna lead into our second hour with Ryan's story about the Brotherhood's view of what's going on, and then we're gonna open it up for calls today. 888-565-1470. Our third hour, 5 to 6, we're going to go back to Benghazi, and we're going to tie all of this together. We're going to tie New Jersey, Israel, and Benghazi together in a connecting the dots format so that you folks can see and understand how the world really, really works from the jihadis' threat doctrine perspective. Do we have Mark Kohlberg with us?
Go ahead.
Okay, Mark, Tom Trento here with Mark and the rest of the crew, CJ, Mike. How are you? Are you safe right now?
Good. Where I am now, I'm not in the area of direct conflict anymore.
Okay, why don't we let you do this? Because we have a transatlantic connection here. Let us just give you, time to make a report, tell us what's going on. And what's happening? What's this? What am I doing?
Under attack for several months, probably several years already, to be accurate. And it's just become impossible over the last month and a half, 2 months, where the Hamas and the terrorists from Gaza have been firing missiles, attacking our soldiers on the border, and the government of Israel has had enough, and the people of Israel have had enough of living in bomb shelters, running for cover. I can tell you that right now the Prime Minister is making a statement. Prime Minister of Israel has just made a statement that we are moving into a second phase of defense against these terrorists that are firing at innocent civilians on a daily basis. The operation Defensive Pillar, which started yesterday, is carried on in today, where today we've seen missile fire towards the Tel Aviv area, and for the first time in 21 years, since the first Gulf War. And I think that tonight, meaning the next couple of hours, we're already almost at 10:30 p.m., we're going to see a serious defensive measure taking place in the Gaza Strip. According to reports in Israel may target the political, if we can call it, the political organizers of the Hamas terror entity. So indeed, things are moving into a second phase of defense. Israel has targeted today almost 80 different targets in the Gaza Strip, while prior to those targeted attacks against weapons, against places housing arms and missiles and these rockets, the IDF sent in leaflets to the people of Gaza, telling them to get away from the terrorists and stay safe. This is something that's important to understand, is that Israel is not targeting the civilians of Gaza, but the terrorists themselves.
Okay, now what, Mark? It's Tom again. What's the concern about the enemy to the north, Hezbollah, and what's the concern about Egypt? We understand they pulled the Egyptian ambassador to Israel out of Israel. Can you confirm that and tell us what's going on?
It was a pretty obvious. It's not something that we didn't expect here in Israel, knowing that the Muslim Brotherhood is in control, full control. In fact, the Prime Minister of Egypt is the President of Egypt is the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Hamas is obviously run by the Muslim Brotherhood. Gaza and the Hamas have been a front now also for Iran. Iran's proxy in the north is the Hezbollah, and suddenly we've seen that now the Hamas in Gaza and all the other terror cronies, I call them, are a front for Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood together. So we are certainly watching the the Hezbollah. We are watching what's happening in Syria. We have the Iranians as a major threat as well, which we are not forgetting about. Everybody knows what lies behind the scenes, and I think that we need to really take care of the Hamas, who is becoming a very painful thorn in Israel's southern area. And we need to just say that enough is enough. Target their leadership and get rid of the Hamas. Even if it's for a year or 2 years, it's better than what we're going through right now.
And CJ, did you have a question?
Yeah. Can you really just kill a few leaders at the top and get rid of the Hamas?
It's very difficult to hear the question.
All right, I'll repeat it because I'm close to the phone. CJ wanted to know, can you really just target the leadership of the Hamas, kill them, and then the terrorism stops?
The terrorism won't stop. I mean, we've had terrorism here in Israel for 64 years, since the establishment of the State of Israel, and quite honestly before that. So the terrorism is never going to stop. We don't expect it to stop. But we need to put a stop to the terror that's created on our residents in the southern part of Israel, and now today expanded into central Israel to some, nothing landed in Tel Aviv. It was taken out. The two long-range missiles were taken out before they had a chance to land. But yes, we can. If Israel can pinpoint and target whoever they want, the leadership of the Hamas, you need to understand, even the political leadership, the military leadership, the Hamas is a terror organization. It's not a government as such. We do not see the Hamas as a government of any country. They are terrorists. So if we take out the leader, Sonia, or whoever else, we are taking out terrorists. And I think I speak as a civilian person, we are entitled to defend ourselves. And if that's the way to do it, we'll have to do it.
Do you know, Mark, it's Tom, do you know if there has been any official statement from the United States government in support of Israel?
Yes, I've heard today on several different reports, both in Israel and the United States, that and this is a long overdue, if you ask me, but the United States has said that Israel has the right to defend itself against these terror attacks that are happening on a daily basis.
Do you know where that statement came from in the United States government?
I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure where it came from, but it comes from, obviously, the spokesman of I think, the White House. I'm not too sure. I heard it on the news. So America is fully giving Israel a green light to defend itself, which is long overdue, I say again.
I have it right here.
How nice of the United States to give another country a green light to defend themselves. That's so admirable.
Yeah. I'm kind of like letting them know what their capital is.
Yeah, exactly. What now? Just technically for a minute here, what missiles leaving the Gaza Strip going into Tel Aviv? How big are those missiles?
Well, we've known for several months that the terrorists in Gaza have had a new upgrade in their weapon systems. They've been, since the Muslim Brotherhood taken over in Egypt, it's very easy to bring in weapons to Gaza, for weapons that are spilled out from Libya, from other countries, from inside Egypt themselves. So the Gaza is one big military dump. They have weapons of all sorts. And these long-range missiles, we've known they had them. In fact, we targeted this morning the depot or the warehouse where all these missiles were. So we really, the Israel Air Force really took care of the long-range missiles. We're sure they've got some more, but the bulk was taken out this morning.
All right, well, that's good, and I'm sure everybody's got their eyes open for these man pads that came out of Libya, the missile air defense systems, shoulder-fired missiles that Gaddafi had. They probably found their way into Gaza. Be very interesting to see if those things start getting popped off. You know.
I believe they shot last week at an Israeli patrol tom on the border where you were when you were visiting in February. and they hit a tank, a Humvee, with one of those missiles. What I do want to say that's breaking right now as I speak to you is that the Hamas have claimed that they have a drone, an Israeli drone, in their possession, which they shot down or somehow got hold of. This is just breaking, so it's unconfirmed. It's as I'm talking to you.
Okay, well, before we let you go, yes, we were there. You were the host of our intelligence trip behind the scenes back in February, and you took us to the border of Gaza in Sderot. If we were to be there right this second, what would we? How safe would it be if we were right where you took us back in February?
Well, from that whole area, anywhere 10 kilometers from the border of Gaza, plus minus, it's about 7 miles, is closed. It's a closed area. No one can go in and go out right now. It's a closed military zone, so we wouldn't be there right now.
Okay, and all those homes that we went by with the bomb shelters and Sderot and the fire station and all of that, what's going on there right now?
Effectively, you've got in that whole area, that whole area surrounding 40 kilometers surrounding the Gaza Strip is effectively people sleeping in bomb shelters. A lot of Israelis have gone. It's the weekend here in Israel now. A lot of people living in that area have just traveled to the central parts of Israel, to northern Israel, just to get away from it all. So the people who really can't leave are there, but they are pretty much in bomb shelters right now.
All right, and the last question, Mark, what can we do here in the United States to help you folks over there?
Well, I think the most important thing is that I've been watching and talking to foreign media people over the last day, and unfortunately, the world media is now making this headline news that Israel is attacking, and I say that in inverted commas, Palestinians in Gaza, which is it's really sickening and sad to see that the world media for so many years has done nothing. They haven't reported on what Israelis have been suffering, but when Israel defends itself, they are flocking here like flies to, I'll say honey, for not wanting to say something else.
Okay, Mark Kohlberg, we thank you, and next week, well, we'll if something happens tomorrow, we're here 3 to 6, obviously,
Yeah.
and we'll touch base, and then when this settles down, I hope it's soon, we'll start telling the folks about your tours, your organization, and how they need to get there, because for all of us, once you go there and the way you took us around to see everything, it comes alive, and we see the reality of the horror that's taking place right now. So thank you. Stay very safe. God bless you, Mark, and we're here to help you out, okay?
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, guys, and I'll keep you updated. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, that worked with duct tape and a microphone and everything. That was a 7,000-mile phone call on an iPhone.
And a $7,000 bill.
And a $7,000 bill. Well, for the cause, Mark. We used Mark's phone for that.
Yeah.
For those donors out there
Yeah, donate to Mark on that.
who would
call.
like to see us continue to do this work, or your advertisers, we're very open to lining up advertising now. Several have come forward. We'll be doing that in a week or so. We got to put things together. But we're still a donor-based organization, so please go to TrentoVision.tv, make a donation if you can. We're going to stick with this issue. It's very, very important. And, the big picture, as we'll describe today, is that Israel is a significant entity for American national security. And I was being a little facetious before, CJ. I had read the report that the government gave Israel the right to defend themselves. How do you give someone the right to defend themselves? I mean, that is so absurd. What I was talking about in the monologue was the president holding a press conference, and did you see how he was yelling at the
he's become more and more unhinged. His arrogance level is going to go so through the roof, and that's what my wife was saying last night. She said he is just going to become so full of himself that He doesn't
The
care.
hubris that
Right.
he
There's
has.
nobody to stop him.
There's nobody to stop him now.
There's
I
nobody
mean,
to stop him.
Those guys want to mess with somebody, mess with me.
Mess
right?
with the
Yeah.
Rock.
Say that to the Muslim
Yeah, what a
Brotherhood.
big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a
Say
big
that to-
tough guy
Hey,
you are.
Mr. President, say
Yeah.
that to the Muslim Brotherhood. You
Yeah.
punk. Unbelievable.
He's yelling at I mean, when you got people that are killing people over in Israel, and he's dressing down, senators.
A reporter.
A
little
reporter.
reporter. You're a tough guy,
Yeah, you're
President.
Mr. Tough Guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. We got another tough guy on the line, Ryan Mauro. Hey, no, that'd be a good
That's a neat thing. Yeah, it's a neat thing about having a name that you could flip either way.
Marin Rayo, how are you? Hey, Marin Rayo, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Marin Rayo, are you there?
Yeah, we got it.
Yes. I'm here.
Okay. It's really Ryan Mauro, folks, but we've given him a new name. I don't know if you caught Mark Kohlberg's report from Israel. Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. Somehow he heard that. How did he hear it? Oh, okay. Well, at 36 minutes after the hour, if you're just joining TrentoVision.tv on the video side and WNN 1470 on the radio side, today we're dealing with the critical issue from a national security perspective, the ongoing battle in Israel right now, where the Hamas has declared an all-out war. And we just had Mark Kohlberg, who is an expert on these issues, reporting live from Israel. It's a 7-hour time difference, so it's 10:36 in the evening there right now. And now we have Mark Kohlberg. Now we have Ryan Mauro on. Ryan is a friend of ours, good friend of ours, has been on the show several times. He writes for radicalislam.org, the website. You need to go there, radicalislam.org. And you're involved with other organizations. Let's establish your bona fides, then we'll get into what we're talking about with you.
Sure. Basically, I work full-time for the Clarion Fund, specifically their website, radicalislam.org, where you can go and see the report about Governor Christie that came out today that the Daily Caller is now reporting on. A lot of my articles appear in Front Page Magazine, and so I'm always doing different things. And I got my start when I was 16 years old. That's when I was hired as an analyst for a maritime security company back in 2002.
16 years old. You wet behind the ears, and he's fighting governments all over the place. And we should tell the folks, the Clarion Fund, that's the organization that makes the world-class documentaries from Obsession, Radical Islam's War Against the West, to the Third Jihad, to the amazing Iranium. So they make those movies, and we've helped them through the years with those things. Ryan, now you're their United States representative, correct?
Yeah, I would say that's basically what I've been doing.
All right, excellent. Now, yeah, the audio's fine. It sounds good. It's good. It's fine. Sudoku.
How's the audio, Blake?
It's fine. We're having fun at your expense, Blake. And no, everything's cool.
He's like, why are you bothering me?
Yeah, leave me alone, man. It's not the top of the hour yet. Ryan, you have to come down here, Ryan, to Florida and be in our studio. It's more fun than a barrel of monkeys,
Yeah, it sure sounds like
Yes,
it.
it is. Blake is our engineer in the soundproof room, and they listen to shows all day long, so sometimes they zone out on some sort of computer game or whatever. And we have wires going. We're not the normal radio jockey that comes in here where you sit down and you talk. We got wires and cameras and things all over the place. But you wrote a fascinating article that came out today, correct?
Yep, came out today at radicalism.org, and just a few minutes ago, the Daily Caller reported on it, so that's a good thing.
Daily Caller, big D.C. publication, right?
Yeah, Tucker Carlson owns them.
Tucker Carlson, you see him. He was on Fox this morning doing a little hit there. Great analysis he did on the press corps. Just Google eyes over the president. They were actually congratulating him on the win,
Can
right?
we drool on you, Mr. President? Can
Yeah.
we drool on you, please?
Unbelievable.
No, that's okay.
Unbelievable.
I feel like everyone's forgotten that he won by about 2%, 2.5%. That's not a landslide. It was big in the Electoral College, but 2.5%, this isn't something to be completely freaking out about and saying that the Republican Party's destroyed and the Democratic Party's going to reign forever.
No, indeed not. And we've been doing some shows on that as to whether or not the Republican Party needs to become Democrat light party, which a lot of Republicans want to do. But more specifically on point with you on our national security side of things. If I'm not mistaken, you live in the state where I was born. Were you born in that state?
Yes, I was born in Jersey.
Oh, Jersey boy. Okay.
Yep.
So you took a shot at your governor. Man, you're not going to be able to drive on the Garden State Parkway ever again. They're just going to nail you, let me tell you.
Well, next time the power goes out, I think that I'm going to have to move.
Hey, by the way, did Sandy reach inland to your place?
I was safe, but all the towns around me were messed up pretty bad. It was very sad to see what was out there, but I was okay.
All right. Is he just Skyped in or just audio?
Yeah,
I don't
he's
see
both.
him. I don't
Yeah.
see him. How come I don't see him? Oh, I got to refresh the screen. I want to see his pretty boy face. Oh, there he is.
And I also look like I'm in a bomb shelter because I'm calling you from my basement right now.
I was going to say, what is this
He
James?
looks like a little cherub, doesn't he?
I was going to say, what is this James Bond looking thing there? Ryan, you set the lights and everything. You lit yourself up on that.
Yeah.
Man. He probably got a book and said, how can I look kind of mysterious? You know,
Yeah, I don't know if it looks cool or if it just looks creepy.
mysterious lighting. Okay, that looks fine. For the radio people, what you need to do when you go home today, go to TrentoVision.tv, click on the first hour, and you can see Ryan in his Hollywood lighting Skyping. But it's pretty good. First of all, you got a lot of nerve going after, the boss, the boss of New Jersey, Chris Christie, A, and B, going after him, accusing him of being essentially in bed with the Muslim Brotherhood. This is how you get enemies in New Jersey. Why don't you tell us the background for the investigation, what you had to do to get it, and what you hope happens from it?
Basically, I used to be a big fan of Governor Christie because even though I don't know a whole lot about domestic policy, being a Jersey guy, I mean, he speaks to us. I mean, it's hard not to like the guy. And so I was very disappointed as I started learning more about what radical Islam is up to in my state of New Jersey and finding out that Chris Christie is arguably the worst governor on this issue in the entire country. And this really came to a head when he first appointed a man named Sohail Muhammad as a Superior Court judge. And that guy is the general counsel for a group called the American Muslim Union that has leadership that says all sorts of bad things. Sohail Muhammad defended Sami al-Aryan, which was a top Brotherhood operative in the United States, convicted for his involvement in terrorism. And it turned out that Christie knew Sohail Muhammad because he was the attorney for another individual named Imam Qatanani. Now, who is Imam Qatanani? That is someone that the Department of Homeland Security wants to deport from the country because of his ties to the Hamas terrorist group. He lied on his green card when he came to the U.S. about the fact that Israel arrested and convicted him for his involvement with Hamas. Now, you would think that if the Department of Homeland Security says, we need to get rid of this guy, a guy that wants to be governor would say, I trust your judgment. But at that point, Christie was the U.S. attorney, and he actually came to Qatanani's defense. He went to his Hamas-linked mosque, and he embraced him as a man of great goodwill. And ever since, Christie has been by this imam's side, defending his integrity, and saying that his critics are anti-Muslim bigots. So not only does Governor Christie think he knows terrorism better than the Department of Homeland Security, I guess he thinks that they're bigots too.
All right, wait, we got to put a timeline here. What year was that, and which administration's Department of Homeland Security?
Well, this was under the Bush administration's Department of Homeland Security, but the Department of Homeland Security still wants to deport him. This fight is still going on.
The
so
Napolitano
there's some
Department.
widespread agreement in the Department of Homeland Security that this guy has got to go. Now, in the state
Wow.
of New Jersey, this was under the Corzine administration, but Christie was the U.S. attorney at the time, and he was preparing to run for governor. And so he wanted this imam on his side. And I think he was probably also blinded by a personal relationship with Cantanani, because he says he's been friends with him for years. And there's nothing more blinding to for someone than to have a personal relationship with someone involved in this stuff. And so that's when the deception began.
Okay, no
Petraeus
Petraeus jokes here.
Hang on. Hey, Ryan,
he's been
Ryan.
a big friend of theirs ever since.
Oh, you can't hear. Oh, all right, Ryan, hang on one second. It's important for the audience to understand our work, folks, TrentoVision.tv, and our sister organization, the United West. We do counterterrorism educational work. We do investigative work into the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm one of the authors of Sharia, the Threat to America. Oh, he's hearing me over there. I'm one of the authors of the book Sharia, the Threat to America. And one of the axioms that those of us in this sector, including Ryan, one of the axioms that we live and breathe by is that the IO, the intelligence operations launched by the Muslim Brotherhood into the West, in particular in this case the United States, it is essential for the individual, the intelligence officer, it is essential for that individual to develop a close bond, a friendship relationship with the target that they're seeking to get information from or to influence. That's why it's called an influence operation. And so what's happened in Christie's case, he was approached by a Muslim Brotherhood operative who developed a friendship relationship with him and became a friend, going to, barbecues and hanging out and doing all of this. And then in that capacity, use that friendship to influence Christie in such a way that Ryan Mauro, who does this stuff for a living, says that Christie is the worst governor in the United States when it comes to these counterterrorism issues vis-a-vis the Muslim Brotherhood. That's where all this stuff is going. All right, continue, Ryan.
Right. So where does this begin? This begins with Christie embracing a Hamas-linked imam in Patterson that led the Islamic Center of Passaic County that the Department of Homeland Security wants to deport, and Christie says, "No, you're wrong. This is a good guy. I know better than you." And it doesn't just end there. So then it starts with him defending this imam from deportation, and then taking his attorney, the imam's attorney, and appointing him as a superior court judge. And you wouldn't think that it would get much worse than that, but it does. He starts going after the small group of writers, including myself, not by name, that write about this stuff, saying that we're anti-Muslim bigots. And he puts together, in May, his attorney general puts together a Muslim outreach committee. It has 10 Muslims on it. But the names of the people on the committee isn't publicly disclosed. So I did some investigation to figure out who's on there. Hold it. And I can't say that I was surprised that Cantanani is on the committee, along with at least 3 other Islamists. And I'm not talking about people that just had a loose affiliation with the Council on American Islamic Relations or another Muslim Brotherhood front group that just went to one of their conferences. We're talking about leaders, people that are undeniably involved in extremism. For example, besides Cantanani, there's this other guy named Ahmed Shadid that's on the committee, and he leads a mosque in Jersey City, and it took me a very short period of time to just find his Facebook, and one of the first things I see on his Facebook is a picture that he posted of him at a Mohammed Morsi rally. Mohammed Morsi is the Muslim Brotherhood president of Egypt. Then I go to his mosque's website, and I see some very frightening statements about jihad, saying, if anyone asks you about jihad, just hit them with another question. Ask them about America's aggressive foreign policies, and then it links to an article about the proper restrictions on wife beating.
All right, hang on. Can you hear me, Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah, the way we have your Skype set up, I have to talk to a microphone halfway across the room. So you unleashed about 20 pearls of national security interest and wisdom. One of the most critical, and I think a very important piece for the audience, our listeners and viewers, to understand, and it's 50 minutes past the hour right now. We're with Ryan Mauro, a national security investigative writer. He works as the Clarion Fund's representative in the United States, and their website is radicalislam.org. You can go read this whole article there. But Ryan, the piece that I want you to camp on for a minute and tell the audience what you had to do. Governor Christie decides to, because of all this Islamophobia and all that nonsense that's going on, Governor Christie decides to form an advisory council of Muslims to advise him so that he navigates this properly. He does that, but he would not release the. Now, don't talk yet. CJ has a question, and then I'm going to develop this a little more. CJ, your question.
Yeah, my question is: in Florida, we have sunshine laws. Is that what they have in New Jersey, so that the governor wouldn't be able to?
Yeah, here's your sunshine right here.
Do they have that or not? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sunshine. Yeah, we got New Jersey sunshine.
Do you have sunshine laws in New Jersey?
No sunshine in Jersey. No sunshine in Jersey.
Okay,
And it's cloudy all the time. Hey, you want to tell her about Jersey? Go ahead. Tell her about Jersey, right?
Basically, we don't have to tell you anything we don't want to. Basically what happened was this committee gets announced, and you would think that if they're trying to make this big outreach to the Muslim community, they'd want to say who the leaders were on the committee. But I guess they didn't want those names out there because of who they were, because Christie undoubtedly knows who Cantanani is, for example. He knows of the case against him, and I couldn't find the names anywhere. And so I just filed different Freedom of Information type requests to several different agencies, including the Attorney General's office, and that's how I was able to get the meeting agenda for the September 5th meeting and the list of the committee members that attended it. And by the way, just even moving beyond the committee, shortly after Christie cleared the NYPD of breaking New Jersey state law for engaging in intelligence gathering in our state, after he bashed them up and down, he clears them. He finds that they did nothing illegal. They start meeting with not just members of this committee, but the Attorney General also met with a representative from CARE's branch in New Jersey. For those that don't know, CARE is the Council on American Islamic Relations, and that's also a Muslim Brotherhood front, according to the federal government.
All right, Mark has a question for you.
Ryan, a lot of times when we run into this type of stuff, especially in higher positions of office, sometimes we label it as just pure ignorance, and then other times, we have to say it's compliance, or the other times it's just money driven. Where do you place this type of thing, especially with the cover up of the names? Do you think it's something covert, or do you think it's something that's just ignorance?
I don't think it's ignorance, and that's because Christie has acknowledged that he's gotten hammered for standing by Cantanani. Remember, he gave that speech saying that the critics are anti-Muslim bigots, so he knows the background of Cantanani, so it's not ignorance. He knows what trouble he's getting into when he works with him, yet he continues working with him. So I think that when he got named to this Muslim Outreach Committee that's overseen by the Attorney General, they had to know there was going to be trouble, and I have to think that had something to do with the decision not to publicly release these names. I don't know if I would say that there was a cover-up, but they were definitely not forthcoming. Generally, if you're going to announce a committee, you're going to announce who's on the committee, but they didn't do that.
All right, so this is Tom again, Ryan. We can't see you, right? On the Skype? Okay. And we got about a minute left in this segment. You can hang over through the top of the hour with us, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because we want to finish the New Jersey fiasco, and then you wrote another fascinating article about the Muslim Brotherhood's involvement in Egypt with the Hamas as it relates to Israel. We want to get into that too. You're a prolific guy, man. Two stories came out today. 2
blockbuster stories, yeah.
I got to pay the bill somehow.
That's right. Okay, keep writing. Speaking of paying the bills, folks, you could help us pay the bills by either donating, going to TrentoVision.tv, donating, or getting interested in being one of our advertisers, where we will put you on the air. We'll take breaks, all of that, regular advertising radio, all over from North Miami almost up to Orlando, depending on how you get there. And we'll do we'll do spots that we read and We'll just help you sell your product so that you can help us continue bringing this. Nobody does this kind of work. I mean,
No.
we're so tied into the leaders in the United States of America that don't buy the administration's party line about winning the hearts and minds of the enemy. We understand the threat doctrine of the enemy. Are all Muslims enemies? Of course not. Are those who are committed to the Sharia, the doctrine that necessitates the destruction, whether in a kinetic fashion or a cultural destruction of the West, we understand that those people, by definition, are enemies of the United States of America, of the Constitution, of Jews, of Christians, of all freedom-loving people, and we fight them. And Israel is fighting them right now. Those Muslims that don't want any part of that, they're welcome to escape to wherever, the United States, adopt the principles of the United States of America, take that naturalization oath, swear allegiance to this little flag flying here, and commit yourself to this contract, and we will stand with you and help you. Ryan, we're going to see you in just a few minutes. You hang in there. Right now, we're going to take a short break. Tom Trento, Trento Vision, with our special guest, Ryan Mauro, and the rest of the crew here. We'll see you in a little bit.
Here's some great news from Tom Trento, host of the daily WNN Trento Vision Show. Due to the unparalleled success of the Trento Vision Show, you now have an amazing opportunity to advertise on the Trento Vision Show. If you want more information about this excellent opportunity